My name is Emily Carter, and this happened to me during my last semester at Northern Illinois University in DeKalb, Illinois. I lived in a small off-campus apartment on Annie Glidden Road, close enough to walk to class, but far enough from the dorms to avoid the chaos of frat parties. It was winter of 2019, bitterly cold, and nights stretched endlessly long. I'd just finished a late-night study session in the campus library and returned home around 11:30 p.m. The apartment was quiet, almost unnervingly so. My roommate, Jess, was away visiting her parents in Rockford, which meant I had the entire place to myself. I made tea, slipped into an oversized hoodie, and sat by my desk to scroll through my phone. Around midnight, the silence in the apartment felt heavier than usual. Even the humming of the refrigerator seemed distant. Then my phone lit up. I frowned. It wasn't uncommon to get spam calls, but I usually ignored them. Still, something about seeing it flash across my screen at exactly 12 a.m. made my stomach twist. Against my better judgment, I picked up. "Hello?" I said cautiously. The line was static at first, a faint hiss of air, then, "Emily." It was a man's voice, low, calm, as if he'd been expecting me. "Who is this?" I demanded. He didn't answer right away. I thought I heard breathing, maybe even the faint sound of footsteps. Then he said something that froze my blood. "Don't hang up, and whatever you do, and don't look at the window." My heart slammed against my ribs. I spun in my chair instinctively, eyes darting toward the blinds covering my living room window. My fingers trembled as I gripped the phone. "This isn't funny," I snapped, trying to sound brave. "If this is some kind of joke." But the call ended just like that, no goodbye, no explanation, just silence. I sat there, staring at my reflection in the blackened laptop screen, too scared to move. After a few minutes, I convinced myself it was a prank. Maybe a wrong number. Maybe Jess's boyfriend messing with me. But then at 12:16 a.m., my phone rang again, same number. This time I let it ring. The voicemail icon appeared a moment later. My curiosity got the better of me. I put it on speaker. The message was only 3 words. "I can see you." By now my hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. My apartment had a small balcony outside the sliding glass door, and beyond that, a narrow alley where the only light came from a flickering street lamp. I refused to look. I couldn't. Instead, I texted Jess. "Hey, did you give my number to anyone? Someone's calling me from a blocked ID. It's freaking me out." She didn't respond. Of course, she was probably asleep. I closed all my apps, set my phone face down, and crawled into bed. The covers felt safer somehow, though my ears strained for any noise outside the window. That's when I heard it. A soft, deliberate knock. Not on the front door, on the glass. I clutched my phone, ready to dial 911, but it buzzed again before I could. Another call. Same blocked ID. With trembling hands, I answered. The voice came again, steady, cold, and horrifyingly close. "Emily, I told you not to look." I froze. The voice on the other end of the line wasn't muffled like before. It sounded sharp, close, almost as if the caller was inside the apartment with me. The knock came again, louder this time. My hands shook so badly that I could barely press the keypad, but I managed to dial 911. When the operator answered, I whispered into the phone. "There's someone outside my apartment," I said, my voice cracking. "They keep calling me and they know my name." The dispatcher asked for my address. My throat went dry as I gave it to her. She told me officers were already in the area and would be there within 10 minutes. 10 minutes. It felt like forever. The knocking stopped. Silence pressed against my ears. I held my breath, straining to hear any sign of movement. Nothing. Then another buzz, a text message. It was from the blocked number. "Don't trust the police." My skin crawled. Whoever this was, they knew I had called, but how? I sat huddled on the edge of my bed, eyes fixed on the door. Then I heard footsteps, slow, heavy, moving down the hall outside my apartment. My building wasn't big, just a 3-story complex mostly filled with students. At that hour, nobody should have been wandering the halls. The footsteps stopped, right outside my door. I swallowed hard and pressed myself against the wall, holding my breath. A shadow moved beneath the crack of the doorframe. Whoever it was just stood there. Another knock, this time on the front door. "Emily?" The voice was different, higher, softer. A woman. "It's Mrs. Kravitz from next door," she said. "Are you all right, honey? I heard noises." Mrs. Kravitz was my neighbor across the hall, a sweet older woman who baked cookies for students every Christmas. Her voice was familiar, comforting. I almost opened the door, almost. Then my phone buzzed again. That's not her. I froze, torn between two impossible choices. Was it really Mrs. Kravitz, or was this part of the game? "Emily," the voice repeated, "can you open the door?" My phone lit up one more time, another message. "If you open it, you die." The sound of sirens in the distance broke my paralysis. Red and blue lights flickered through the blinds as a squad car pulled up outside. Someone pounded on the building's front entrance. "Police, open up!" Relief flooded through me, and I sprinted to the door, my actual front door, not the balcony. Through the peephole, I saw two uniformed officers in the hallway. One of them, a tall man with graying hair, held up his badge. I cracked the door open just enough to let them in. "Miss Carter?" the older officer asked. I nodded frantically. "We got your call. You said someone's been harassing you?" I told them everything. The midnight calls, the voice, the knocks on the glass, the texts. When I mentioned Mrs. Kravitz, the younger officer, a woman with her hair tied back in a bun, frowned. "Ma'am," she said gently, "there's no Mrs. Kravitz in this building." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean? She lives right across the hall, apartment 3B. The officer exchanged a look with her partner. "This building doesn't have a 3B, she said. "It only goes up to 3A. I felt the blood drain from my face. The older cop turned to me. "We'll check the premises, lock your door behind us, and don't open it for anyone but us, understood?" I nodded, too shaken to speak. They stepped out into the hallway, radios crackling as they moved. I locked the door, slid the chain in place, and backed away. My hands were still trembling, but at least the police were here. At least I wasn't alone. Or so I thought. My phone buzzed again, a new text. "They can't help you, look at the balcony." Against every instinct screaming in my head, I turned. The blinds swayed gently as if someone had brushed against them, and in the faint glow of the streetlight I saw it, a handprint, pressed against the glass from the outside. My breath caught. Whoever it was, they were still out there, watching. I dialed the older officer's number. He had given me his card before stepping out. No answer. Another text came through, faster this time. "Don't call them, they're already gone." I stared at the message, my chest tightening. What did that mean? Gone where? The building creaked, old pipes groaning in the walls, but then, beneath the noise, I heard it again. Footsteps, inside my apartment. I turned slowly, heart pounding in my ears. The hallway leading to my roommate's empty bedroom was pitch dark. And then, just barely visible in the shadows, something moved. I stared into the darkness of the hallway, my chest tight, each breath shallow. My apartment wasn't big. 2 bedrooms, a living room, a tiny kitchen. But at that moment, it felt like a maze, each corner hiding something I couldn't see. The footsteps stopped. "Who's there?" I whispered, my voice trembling. No response. Slowly, I edged toward the kitchen counter, where I kept a drawer with a heavy flashlight and, more importantly, a knife. My hand shook as I pulled the drawer open and gripped the knife's handle. My phone buzzed again. "Put it down, you don't need it." I nearly dropped the blade. Whoever this was, they weren't just watching from outside, they were inside. I backed into the living room, clutching the knife like a lifeline. The silence was unbearable, pressing in on me, thick and suffocating. Then another sound. My roommate's bedroom door creaked open, inch by inch. I froze. My roommate Ashley was gone for the weekend, visiting family in Oregon. Nobody should have been in that room. The door swung wider. The darkness inside yawned open like a mouth. And then my phone rang. Same blocked number. With shaking hands, I answered. A low voice hissed through the speaker. "Emily, I told you not to call them. Now it's just you and me." My throat tightened. "What do you want?" The voice chuckled, deep and cold. "To play." I ran. Out the front door, down the hallway, pounding the stairwell steps 2 at a time. My bare feet slapped the concrete. I didn't care if I screamed, didn't care if I woke the whole building. But when I burst out onto the street, the police car was gone. The flashing lights, the officers vanished as if they had never been there. Panic clawed at my chest. I spun in circles, searching for anyone, anything. That's when I noticed the payphone across the street. It was ringing. The sharp metallic sound cut through the night, echoing off the empty buildings. Nobody was around, just me. And that phone. It kept ringing. Against every shred of reason, my legs carried me closer. The booth's glass was cracked, smudged with fingerprints. The phone dangled off the hook, cord swaying gently. It rang one last time, then stopped. I picked it up. "Good girl," the voice whispered. I dropped the receiver and stumbled back, heart pounding. My phone buzzed again in my hand, a new message. "Turn around." I did, and there he was. A tall man dressed in black, standing at the edge of the streetlight's glow. His face was hidden under a hood, but I could feel his eyes on me, watching, studying. I froze, rooted to the pavement. He tilted his head slightly like he was curious. Then, without a word, he stepped backward into the darkness, gone. The rest of the night was a blur. I ran until my lungs burned, banged on a neighbor's door 3 blocks away, begged them to call the police again. This time, real officers came. They searched my apartment, found nothing. No footprints on the balcony, no signs of forced entry, no Mrs. Kravitz. Just me, trembling and incoherent, trying to explain what had happened. One officer, a younger guy with kind eyes, put a hand on my shoulder. "Ma'am," he said, "are you sure you weren't dreaming? Sleep paralysis, maybe. Stress can make people imagine things." I wanted to scream. I knew what I saw, what I heard, but they didn't believe me. For days afterward, I couldn't sleep. I kept the lights on, double-checked every lock, jumped at every creak of the building. My phone stayed off, shoved in a drawer. Then one morning, as I was leaving for class at the University of Washington, I saw something taped to my door. A photo of me sleeping in my bed. Scrawled across the bottom in red marker were 4 words. "Told you not to answer." That night still haunts me. I moved out of that apartment within a week. I never answered another unknown call. And to this day, every time my phone buzzes after midnight, I can't help but wonder, what if I had never picked up?